What Jane has done is invested hundreds of millions of dollars in projects that you can't see. So she may never get the credit for it that she deserves, but whether it's stormwater or wastewater or water, so kudos to her. I jumped in a big kind of way and started, bird hunting a lot with these guys. And I knew if I was going to be good at that, then I had to become a proficient clay shooter. My family came to the United States during the potato famine. I just love it as a country. It's a beautiful place. We all come from somewhere because we are a nation of immigrants. And the more you learn about your history, the better you are as an American.
Welcome back to part 2 of our interview with former Mayor Bob Buckhorn. If you missed part 1 of this incredible interview, make sure to look for the link in the comments and get caught up before you listen to this. All right, let's talk about being a mayor of a major city. Not that we haven't, talked about that a little bit. Challenging job, just slightly,
Yeah, turn my hair white.
Just turn your hair white?
Yeah.
I'm looking up pictures from 16 years ago. I want to see brown hair.
Don't worry, you'll see brown hair.
So for those of you that don't know, Bob is punishing himself again or hosting the privilege of running again for the honor of being the mayor for another term. Let's talk about that a little bit. Like, what made you want to run for another term? You've done 8 years. You've done a lot of stuff. You probably have betting opportunities that are more lucrative than being the mayor. So tell us about what made you want to run again.
Tommy, it's and people ask me that all the time, and you'll have critics that say, "Okay, he's done his time. It's time to go. It's time to let someone else do this." First of all, I loved every day of being the mayor. I mean, it is a really, really difficult job to be a strong mayor in a major American city. I mean, it's, the problems that urban America faces are so intractable, whether it's the guns or the gangs or the violence or the poverty, the social justice issues. You throw in, hopefully never again, but what Mayor Castor had to deal with COVID, the challenges of big city mayoring. It's probably one of the toughest jobs in America, but it's also a job that I loved. I mean, I could not wait to get to work in the morning. I had to be the first one there, going back to that, that athlete. I had to be the first one there because I had to set an example for the employees that, we're going after this, we're going hard, and I'm going to lead from the front. In the midst of the worst recession that we've seen since the Great Depression, when it was really, really dark in this community at that time, I loved it. I mean, I couldn't wait. So I did my 8 years, was elected in 2011, was reelected in 2015 with 95% of the vote. Term limited out in 2019. Was happy to support Mayor Castor. She was my police chief during my 8 years, most of it. Watched her succeed, watched her navigate a lot of tough things. But what I realized was the job of building a city, first and foremost, is never done. And two, Tampa had come so far over the last 12 years. The transformation of our city during my 8 years was unlike any city in America. Even though we had no money, to see this city finally realize or start to realize its potential and become, as opposed to what we were, which was a donor city of our talent, bright young people like you who were leaving to go to Charlotte or Atlanta or Austin or Raleigh-Durham because there was no opportunities here. That was completely reversed. We became that destination in America that everybody wanted to come and be. And so I was like, look, we worked too damn hard to get this city to this point. I'm not, number one, going to let anybody come in and undo that progress. And two, we've only just begun to tap our potential. When I wake up in the middle of the night and think about where we're going to be 15 years from now or 10 years from now or 20 years from now, this is going to be a radically different place. I mean, it is going to be it's already a really exciting place. But just imagine when you start connecting the dots, connecting Water Street to Channelside, Channelside to the port across to Gasworks across to Tampa Heights, leaping the Hillsborough River and completing a Riverwalk on the west side and finishing out, the restoration of historic West Tampa. I mean, you think about what we could become. I'm like, if I have to do another tour of duty, then I'm going back, and I'm gonna do my part. I'm gonna train the next generation to take my place and pass that torch, and then I'm going home. I'm not running for anything else. I'm a mayor. That's all I want to be. That's all I want to do. I don't want to go to Washington. I don't want to go to Tallahassee. When I get done being the mayor this next time, I'm going home and cheering on my successor.
That's absolutely incredible. And, funny side story for you. I've had Jane Castor on the podcast before, and she was joking about, digging up infrastructure. She's like, it's not pretty. Nobody wants to do it, but it's got to do. We've grown so much. Infrastructure didn't grow. And she's like, when I'm out of office, they're going to end up naming a sewage plant after me.
I will do better for her.
Okay. All right.
I promise.
I just thought, but you know what? I think she would get a laugh knowing her little quirky sense of personality or her humor. I think she'd get a laugh out of seeing the Jane Castor sewage facility.
She would for a moment. But you know something, Tommy? I mean, what she has done, and she really has focused on infrastructure as one of the core tenets of her time here. I mean, most American cities, ourselves included, we have 100-year-old pipes trying to handle 2025, 26 growth. And so, and it was largely because of financial reasons, we weren't keeping ahead of the growth to the extent that we need. What Jane has done is invested hundreds of millions of dollars in projects that you can't see. So she may never get the credit for it that she deserves, but whether it's stormwater or wastewater or water, her commitment to infrastructure is absolutely to be admired, because what it will do is provide a foundation for me and other mayors that follow me to be able to take this city to the next level, because those core functions will be adequate, will be sized big enough to handle our growth, and can accommodate whatever we are becoming. So kudos to her.
Yeah, nobody likes the pretty. As a contractor, somebody says, "Why is it taking so long? Why is it taking so long?" Because they don't see anything as being completed until the drywall's up.
Yeah.
All the stuff behind the drywall, all the stuff you never see again, is what takes so long in a house. Once the drywall's up, your paint, floors, you're done.
Yeah.
It's great. That's the end of the project. So she's literally dealing with the stuff nobody sees or complains about because the road's closed, but they don't want flooding in their homes.
No, they don't.
They want to be able to flush a toilet. That's pretty important. They don't want brownouts like some other cities around, not around here, but some other cities in the country, regular brownouts. And she's done a good job at preventing all that, while we're sitting in downtown Tampa right now with 2 major towers going up, and the police station is going to get demolished, and I'm sure another tower will end up going there. And that's not even anything. There's so much land down here that's yet to be developed.
Oh, you just hold on, Tommy.
Yes, yeah. I understand. So as mayor, unlike a president or even sometimes a senator, as mayor, you're pretty accessible. Like, we just bumped into each other at a networking group. We run in several of the same circles. We go to the same clubs. You're approachable. So you talk to a lot of people, directly to residents, not just big businesses or owners like me. You talk to just the average person. So what kind of challenges are you hearing right now that the residents are facing?
Yeah, that's a great question. One of the great things about being a mayor, and one of the things I like about it more than anything, is that accessibility, and that it's a different relationship with the voters than any other office. It's far more intimate. Most voters don't know who their congressperson is. They don't know who their state legislator is. They may know who the governor is. They certainly know who the president is. But everybody knows who the mayor is. And they're not shy about stopping you and telling you what they think and giving you all the advice that you could possibly want. And that's great. I love that. And I love being out there, not protected by barriers or security details or whatever, because that's how I learn. I mean, that's kind of the oxygen that I breathe, is that interaction with people. Now, I'd prefer if they didn't show up at my house, but, or interrupt when I'm having dinner with my family. But, I'm always polite because I work for them.
Yeah.
So what they are talking about is they're excited about the trajectories Tampa is on. They have watched us transform ourselves into a city where their kids and grandkids are now coming home here and not leaving. Because I used to hear that a lot. They're proud of the work that's done, the Riverwalk and Julia B. Lane Park. And, they look at Water Street and walk around Water Street amazed at what we've become. But there are some pain points that have come as a result of our success. Mm-hmm. I mean, we've grown fast, and the infrastructure is struggling to keep up. So the potholes, I hear about the potholes all the time. The conditions of our roads. I hear about traffic. Probably traffic is the biggest issue that people talk about. And when they say traffic, I'm inferring that they're also talking about roads and the condition of our roads. And transportation, if we don't fix it, or if we don't somehow get ahead of it, we will strangle on our own growth. We will end up like Atlanta or Miami, which we don't want to be.
Gridlocked in the middle of the day for an hour to go 2 miles.
Yes. Now, there's a solution to that, but that solution costs money. And transportation, and when I say transportation, I'm not just talking about roads. Certainly in the urban areas of our community, the city, we need mass transit as an option. All of that is hugely expensive. You'll remember when we passed the All for Transportation referendum a couple years back, which would have dedicated, I think it was a 0.5-cent sales tax, solely for transportation. And when I say transportation, I mean funding a bus system that actually works. Mass transit, more roads in the county, because mass transit may not work in the county, in the rural parts of the county. But it would have given us a dedicated revenue source to be able to do that. Now, Tom, if you can't do these big projects unless you have a dedicated revenue source that allows you to go out and issue debt that you pay back over 30 years to do big multi-billion-dollar projects. You got to have a dedicated revenue source. You can't just pay as you go. There's not enough money in the cushions of City Hall to do these big projects. We can't even extend our streetcar, even though we have 1/3 paid for by the state, 1/3 paid for by the feds. The city doesn't have its 1/3. So you got to have that revenue source. So we're going to have to go back to the voters. That referendum was overturned in a very political decision in the Florida Supreme Court, so we lost that ability. We got to go back to the voters and say, look, that pain point is approaching. This is a vote for our kids and future generations. We've got to invest in this. We need everybody to buy in. Once that happens, I think we can start to get ahead of this growth curve. But absent that, we're going to continue to have problems.
And transportation does help affordability.
Absolutely.
When somebody can live in, say, Temple Terrace and commute to downtown Tampa, where the pricing is different, or they can be in Sulphur Springs and go to the Air Force Base and work. And so many people don't realize that ability to live in a more a lower rent area or lower cost area allows them the ability to take jobs in bigger regions.
I mean, you think about our downtown where we find ourselves today. I would imagine the bulk of the workforce in downtown services the major industries in downtown, whether it's the paralegal at our law firm, whether it's the server that I just came from at the Hilton Hotel. Those are people who aren't going to be living necessarily on Davis Islands or South Tampa or Avila or wherever, but they are the engine that drives our economy.
Everything.
Yes.
Everything.
And so they need to be able to get to these employment centers, and if you're paying $4 a gallon for gas and you can't afford to live in South Tampa and you have to live in Balm or Riverview, you're not going to be able to take a job or get to a job, or you may lose a job in downtown Tampa because we don't have adequate public transportation. So it's an economic issue as much as it is a transportation issue.
Wow. Working in government seems to be the opposite of flexibility. Smaller companies, they pivot, they fly, they change. As an example, a guest came on earlier today that showed up with the wrong schedule, and they still got an interview in, and we had to, on the fly, take care of that. Small businesses, medium businesses can do that. Government can't pivot so quickly. It's the difference between a small sailboat and a frigate or a huge freighter.
Or an aircraft carrier.
Or an aircraft carrier, really. So how do you think that you're going to bring that let's do something a little different approach into the mayor's office?
Yeah, that's a great question. And you're right. Government is large, it's cumbersome, it's bulky, it's got a whole set of regulations around it that the private sector doesn't have. We don't get the luxury of being as nimble as the private sector does. There are, at least initially and historically, there were good reasons for that. Although these days I find ourselves in a very much customer-centric world in which we are dinosaurs by comparison to our private sector competitors and partners. Part of it is the services the government provides, we generally have a monopoly on, so there's not an incentive to improve because there is no competition for police service or fire rescue. And so there's not as much of a let's get up every day and kind of break it and put it back together and figure out how it works. What can happen, though, and I saw this happen, the city of Tampa is a very, very strong mayor form of government. The mayor is, in essence, the CEO of a major corporation. City council has its role and has its lane, mainly land use and zoning and approval of the budget. But as a mayor, you literally get to drive the culture. You get to set the tone for the direction and the narrative the city's going. If you are adept at using the pulpit that the mayor's job affords you, and the mayor of Tampa's got the biggest pulpit in the Bay Area. The mayor of Tampa can drive a regional discussion and a regional agenda more so than any other elected official. Because when the mayor speaks, people pay attention and the media pays attention. So what I found is in that role of mayor, you can change that ship of state. You can create a culture that works, that's aggressive, that's ambitious, that's creative, where you don't penalize employees for thinking outside the box if they're doing it for the right reasons. You reward them, not necessarily financially, but you give them the ability to go do what they know how to do. Because I promise you this, Tommy, those guys riding a garbage truck know far better how that route functions, what would make their life better, how to make their job more efficient, how they could perform a service better than any director of the department. So go to the people that do the job and ask them, say, okay, how can we make your job better? What can we do to find a better way to do things? And I have found that creative mayors can really change that paradigm. And we're never going to be as nimble as an Amazon or, some of these other hard-charging private companies. But we are in the customer service business. We ought to be as responsive as others are. And we ought to have a culture that rewards that kind of innovation.
It's impressive that you would say that government is in the business of customer service. I think that a lot of people don't realize that or feel that, but that really is what government is. They're here to service the people.
Mm-hmm. And just by virtue of having monopoly on the product that we provide shouldn't make us lazy or less efficient or less ambitious to serve our customer as well as we possibly can within the parameters of the regulations that we have. Like you don't have civil service here in your companies.
No.
You don't have unions that you have to negotiate with and union contracts. I do. And so there are things that curtail my ability to some degree that were put in place for good reasons decades ago that, haven't changed. And so I got to do the best I can with what I have, but you certainly can inspire your employees to get up every day and do a great work. And you do that literally by leading from the front.
Create that culture.
Absolutely.
And everybody will
follow.
Get on board. They'll follow.
They're good people, and they want to do the right thing.
Okay, let's talk about something fun.
Yeah.
We've talked about a lot of work. Actually, I think this is fun. I think you think it's fun. But let's talk about something traditionally fun. Okay? I understand you're an avid clay shooter.
I am, yeah.
Really? I went on my very first clay shoot, very first time shooting a gun just this year.
Did you really? I'm glad I wasn't there.
And the very first clay I hit.
Did you really?
I think that was the only clay out of the entire round
I was going to
hit.
say, I know it was
but
all
the very
downhill,
first
right?
one, dumb luck, first shot, I did it. So tell us, what do you love about it? How did you get involved in clay shooting?
It's funny. It's one of those hobbies I picked up when I left office the first time, and I had a bunch of buddies that were hunters and gun guys, and they used clay shooting to kind of tune up for bird season, and so I had shot a little bit as a kid with my dad and my brothers. Not often. We'd go every Thanksgiving or something. But I jumped into this, and I jumped in a big kind of way and started, bird hunting a lot with these guys. And I knew if I was going to be good at that, then I had to become a proficient clay shooter. And so now I pretty much shoot every weekend. I have a group of guys that I shoot with on Saturdays, and we compete in a lot of tournaments, and we compete with each other. I'm shooting in a tournament for Tampa Police Department this weekend, and I love it. It's, it takes a lot of hand-eye coordination. It takes, it's a very, very different skill set than pistol shooting or tactical shooting, because you're shooting at a clay that's about 3 inches across, moving at 50 miles an hour across, the field. And so it takes a lot of practice to become good at it.
That sounds like trying to serve the general public.
It does,
Trying to hit a target running 50 miles through an hour through the field.
Fortunately, through a lot of practice, I've gotten pretty good. And so I will generally shoot, like on Saturdays, we'll shoot 50 clays. I'll generally shoot 45 and above every week.
You call that pretty good?
Because
I thought my first time was pretty good. Out of 50.
Yeah, no, that's not going to get you any bling at these tournaments.
Oh no, I have no delusions of that.
Other than the worst shooter, you don't want that trophy.
Yeah, but an award is better than no award.
It's true. But yeah, we compete with each other, and we're all, usually consistently 45, 46, 47. I've never shot a 50 out of 50. I've shot 49. A couple times, but
you were very angry that day, weren't you?
Oh my God, you don't even know, Tommy. You don't even know.
I can see it on your face saying the number 49. I can see it.
Because the ones that you miss, you never should have missed them, and it's always the easier ones that you miss, and you're just kicking sand for the rest of the days, and I'm reliving that for 4 days afterwards. I'm like, oh my gosh, But yeah, it gets back to that, that athlete in you.
Yeah.
I love clay shooting. I do. Although I'm afraid that once I get into this campaign, and then obviously as the mayor, my scores are going to drop significantly, because it's a lot of muscle memory, and you got to do it a lot and stay on it, and otherwise your scores drop.
Why not do the best of both worlds?
I'm going to try.
Meet with the future mayor while we clay shoot.
I'm going to try.
And then if you don't like it, just put the headphones on and you just let them keep going.
Yeah. And it's, I'm going to do a better job controlling my schedule than I did the first 8 years.
Got you.
Where literally it was 7 days a week. I'm going to set aside time to do the stuff that I've learned to like, not being the mayor. And, it kind of keeps you grounded and keeps your sanity, and it's, good camaraderie.
Absolutely. So, Bob, when you travel, you go to other cities. Mm-hmm. What do you look at or look for? Because you're probably not just looking at the pretty monuments. You're probably looking at, I like that crosswalk, or look at how great those police are doing, or wow, we do better than that in Tampa. I bet.
You don't even know, Tom. My kids, when they were young, used to hate to travel with me, because we would get to the hotel, and I have 2 daughters. And when they were little, we'd get to the hotel. I don't even think I would unpack. I'd say, girls, let's go take a walk. And they knew that what was going to happen. And so I literally would walk in concentric circles around the hotel, moving further and further out, just looking at things, looking at, the streetscapes and the types of trees they were planting, and the sidewalks and how wide they were, and how they took care of graffiti and maintenance and homeless issues. And I'd look at the architecture and see how it kind of meshed with the street environment and the types of parks they had. And, and 3 hours later, my kids with their little legs are exhausted. They're like, Daddy, can we go home? Can we go home? And I'm like, wait, just a minute. I just got to go around this corner and look at this. But yeah, that's what, and it's not unique to me. That's what mayors do.
Yeah.
And we learn from each other. Democrat or Republican mayors, we all have the same problems. It's just a question of scale. And so mayors you will find to be the least partisan group of elected officials that you can imagine. Because our job is not to fight about abortion or fight about, immigration. Our job is to build cities. And there's no Democratic or Republican way to build a city. You just build a city. And so we steal ideas from each other all the time. We share ideas with each other. We share failures because it's all the same problem. It's just a question of scale. Mike Bloomberg in New York City had a very different sense of scale than I did in Tampa, Florida, just by virtue of the size of the cities. But the problems are all the same. So yeah, mayors do that. We're kind of weird ducks in that regard.
Well, actually, as a contractor, I kind of share that trait. Not necessarily for city infrastructure, but I go into a hotel room. Why is there lighting here and not here?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Go into a shower. Why do you have to reach all the way around to get to the shower valve?
Yeah.
There's a hook at my gym shower that's on the wrong side of the door, so you have to open the door and reach your arm all the way around to grab your stuff. I sit in a restaurant and I see all the dirty paint, the something not clean, the something. I have to tune it out when I'm on vacation, or else all I see is a punch list.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So I guess we have that in common.
Absolutely. Wherever I go, I stop and talk to the cops, in whatever city it is. Like, how you doing? How's your job? How's your pay? What are you guys facing? What's the upcoming threats that you guys are dealing with? What's the type of drugs out there on the street? Because I know eventually I'm going to end up having to deal with it.
It's all going to come back here. I mean, especially as a growing city, stuff that we didn't have as a smaller city starts to impede. And we see that in Lakeland. I grew up in Lakeland. It used to be nothing. It used to be a teeny city. And now it's actually starting to become a regional presence itself.
Oh, I love Lakeland.
And they're starting to inherit the problems, or not inherit, but encounter the problems that other cities are handling.
Remember, it's only a question of scale.
It's just when, not if. Bob, you talk about Ireland as a favorite of yours.
Oh, yeah.
You talked about in your heritage in this interview.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to lie, on our research on you, you brought up Guinness more than once or twice in your past interviews.
The mother's milk.
So what is it about Ireland, other than the Guinness, that keeps making you want to go back?
It's funny. I think third generation removed. My family came to the United States during the potato famine. So, typical of the Irish expats, if you will, the Irish diaspora, we always hearken fondly back to the old country, whether we're, 5 generations removed or, right off the boat. I just love it as a country. It's a beautiful place. I have a little bit of German in me, but the vast majority of me is Irish. My wife is entirely Irish, of Irish descent. So I just love it. I love the story. I love learning about its troubled history, and particularly the troubles specifically in Northern Ireland between the Catholics and the Protestants, between the British, who control 6 counties in Ireland, versus the Republic of Ireland, which is largely Catholic. Those 6 counties are still belong to the Crown in England, and so you've had that conflict there for 200 years. And so it's fascinating to me. And so, I've spent a good bit of time there. We set up a sister city there in South Dublin. I honeymooned there. My youngest daughter was just over there for spring break. So, Ireland is our ancestral home. And, I know there's a lot of romanticism about it, and it makes for some great jokes. But we all come from somewhere. And the more you learn about your history, the better you are as an American, incorporating that history into the American experience, because we are a nation of immigrants. And so for me, Ireland just happens to be that for me. I mean, the people are astoundingly pleasant.
That's incredible. We love exploring Europe. Ireland has not made it.
Oh, you got it.
Hasn't been there yet, but we're very close to that coming down. So excited to see that. So, Bob, you answered all the hard questions.
Okay.
All right. We have a fun question. Really, really fun question. And it's in here in Tommy's Toolbox. And you should have known there's a toolbox. Why? Because we're on Tommy's Toolbox.
We're on Tommy's Toolbox.
The Leadership Edition. So I'm going to open this box, and there's papers in there. And I want you to grab a piece of paper and hand it to me.
Okay.
Just hand it to me. And don't cheat. All right. There's no way to cheat, I don't think.
Yeah, I don't have my cheaters on anyway, so I couldn't see it.
Ooh, this is serious.
Oh, okay.
Would you rather assemble IKEA furniture for a week or entangle Christmas lights for a day?
Oh, I would entangle Christmas lights for a day. I'd rather, shoot myself and put IKEA furniture together. I've done that. Every dad has done that.
Every dad has done that. The first challenge is finding the English directions.
Oh, and I'm not particularly handy, Tommy, unlike you. So my automatic reaction in situations like that is to just hit it with a hammer. And it never ends well for the furniture or for me. So yeah, I'll sit and untangle Christmas lights rather than do that.
Well, I expect to see a great holiday display on your house, but only with an invitation. I won't just show up.
Yeah, don't do that, please. Others have.
So we just had a fascinating conversation with former Mayor Bob Buckhorn, perhaps future Mayor Bob Buckhorn. If you want to learn more about Bob Buckhorn, go to bobbuckhorn.com. I've just repeated it 3 times, so it should be pretty easy. This is the latest edition of Tommy's Toolbox, the Leadership Edition.